LCWRA is being scrapped, everything's being rolled into PIP, and if you are being asked for your bank statements, let me tell you now that it's not just about seeing whether or not you're committing fraud, it's also to monitor your lifestyle and your lifestyle choices. So if you're on any type of benefit, if you're on PIP, if you're disabled, or if you have a business potentially and you are also on universal credit, then you're probably going to want to watch this video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Alison. I used to work for the Department of Work and Pensions before I sued them not once, not twice, but 3 times. I won 2 of those cases as a single-handed litigant in person up against one of the UK's top London barrister, who has over 20 years of experience. And with no further ado, I'm going to dive into one of your questions or statements, or this is a question, which is this, because that's rather relevant when you're dealing with the Department of Work and Pensions in a legal sense, as I have done. If you've got nothing to hide, then just comply. Let me tell you this, when things get to a legal situation, any information in the hands of somebody who is competent can be used against a truth. And barristers often win not because they're telling the truth. They win because they can tell a very good story and they can make the tribunal believe their story. Now, I'm just going to tell you a little story before we get into today's video, which is all about the stopping of LCWRA. Recently, DWP's own barrister, for myself, tried to make them believe that I did not have a disability because I own a car. So they don't even know, or they try to make the court believe that they don't even know about the PIP descriptors when it comes to planning a route safely, reasonably, and without complication. I'm quite sure that a barrister that represents the Department of Work and Pensions knows full and well what those descriptors mean. But if you don't, and you don't have access to that information, you're not going to be able to put that in front of the court or a work coach or a PIP assessor or a case management worker to prove your point. So it's not about having anything to hide. It's about making sure your information is not misused against you when certain organisations don't do what they're meant to do. In my case, they unlawfully harassed me. That's what the court found, that they unlawfully harassed me and that they failed to implement disability trigger points for an employee when I was working for them, which actually is mandated by law for disabled people. So there we go. Right, next. Okay, this one. Why would they ask for bank statements from you if they can access your account anyway, as you've just stated? So I've never said the DWP can just access your account. They can access certain information from your account. They might be able to know how many accounts you have, what addresses they're at, and the balance of that account. But they can't actually look at every single transaction. And that's probably why they're asking you for your bank statements. The second reason is, in order to have access to that daily transactions, they're going to have to prove through GDPR that there is a fair reason for it, that there is a real reason for it. Secondly, they're going to have to cut through quite a lot of red tape from the financial organisation. And thirdly, they're going to have to ensure that they're storing that information correctly under a subject A category for data protection. If you just hand that all over to them voluntarily, then they have your consent to access that information because you've provided it to them. So that's probably why they are asking you for the bank statements. Now, the third point here is that you all need to be checking the open banking settings on your online bank accounts, because as this person says here, I've just looked at all 3 of my bank accounts and they are all sharing my information. And this person didn't even know. I just want to say a huge thank you for this information, and now I've shut down all of them. Wow, just wow. And I think Cass Gray is going to be one of very many people that shut down their bank accounts and start resorting back to cash, because the level of scrutiny that people are being put under and the level of assumptions that are completely wrong are being used to make big decisions about people's lives. So let's get into how this is going to be affecting people who are on LCWRA and who are on PIP or who have a disability and are having to have extra support because of a health condition. LCWRA, which is limited capability for work and no work-related requirement, is being totally replaced by PIP. So if you are, and that's happening now from 2026 onwards, and by 2028 LCWRA is not going to even exist. So if you're on LCWRA and you're not getting PIP, it's highly likely, unless you can prove otherwise, that you're not going to be getting any extra payment if you're on something like universal credit. And if you don't already have my health planner, which is fully available on Amazon, it's a super thick and very comprehensive tracking guide, you need to have this, because proving every single day how your health affects you and tracking it is going to be more important than any bank statement that any organisation or department could get hold of. And that's because to make the decisions for like PIP assessors, they need to look at your overall health and the adverse effects that your health has upon you over a period of time, not just on one day, not just on a couple of weeks, which is kind of what a bank statement can show. So having this is literally going to be, for lots of people, your get out of jail free card when you are being wrongly and incorrectly assessed and not being able to get your hands on what you are actually entitled to. Let's not forget. Now, the other reason why this health journal is so important is with the new system that is going to be replacing the work capability assessment, they are going to be functioning on what you can do, not what you can't do. And again, having this every single day written down and tracked is going to make your life so much easier. And this can be used, by the way, in a court of law. This can be used with PIP assessors. There is information in here that even your doctor and healthcare professionals or mental health care providers can also complete as well. Now, currently, because I know you're all going to panic, the current rules still apply, but they are rolling this out. So if you are suddenly getting a message saying, you know, LCWRA is no longer going to apply, you need to apply for the health element in universal credit. Now you're going to know why that is happening and what that is all about. But currently the rules do still apply. And quite frankly, the direction is really very crystal clear. They are, as I stated a long time ago, wanting to force as many disabled people back into work, or people that do have long-term health conditions. And I am living proof of how the Department of Work and Pensions in particular fail not only their own policies for disabled employees in the workplace, but they also fail to implement and respect the Equality Act of 2010, which by law normally they should be clearly applying. So another option is self-employment. Now, I am obviously self-employed myself, and I do help a lot of people towards self-employment. And I think my next video is going to be about how you can do that if you're on universal credit, or if you're on PIP, or if you're on LCWRA, or even ESA. So you can start getting ahead in your life and start planning for the future. Because trust me, working for yourself is 10 times nicer, better, more rewarding, and financially much more rewarding than working for any employer that wants to make the fact that you're disabled or you have disabilities, which is they're going to just portray as a massive nightmare, is just not a road you want to go down. There is going to become, in the next few months, and most definitely over the next few years, if you have a disability, Nothing more important than truly understanding what the PIP descriptors actually are, because even DWP's barrister doesn't really know, and how they are scored, and the types of evidence that you need to provide in order to qualify for them, and also challenge decisions that you don't agree with. So, PIP descriptors versus lived reality is going to be crucial in making sure that you can still get PIP or still get the health element of universal credit. And like I said, my health journal is literally going to be your little health Bible. It really is. So use it, use it, use it, use it. And we do have a disability playlist here on YouTube. Inside of Insiders, my membership, we do go into this a little bit more, and I do monthly coaching inside the membership as well, so you can come along, ask your questions, and ask anything you like, really. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see so many people making when they're applying for any type of disability benefit like PIP is just reeling off all of their conditions or reeling off how many times they go to the doctors as completely irrelevant. That is not showing you the adversity, like the impact of your health conditions. And it has to be, like I said, showing or proving how it affects your life every single day. Now, I have personally seen how lifestyle evidence, which is sometimes portrayed through bank statements, is used, or should I say misused, in legal settings. And you don't want to be in that position without having any hardcore evidence that you can kind of come back with. So documentation matters, and context matters as well. Now, for anybody out there that is currently on PIP or has a car and is worried by DWP's own comment to myself, please let me finish with this, just to assure you. Owning a car does not mean that you do not have a disability. Owning a car does not mean that you've misled a PIP assessor or anything like that. And if somebody is trying to assume that that is the case, that is actually a legal error, and that 100% should be challenged. But you do need to have evidence to challenge it with. Now, as we all know, most PIP assessors, well, not most, all PIP assessors actually have to make their decisions based on the medical evidence in front of them and also the other evidence that you submit to them as well. And as a little top tip, before you apply, or not before you apply, before you actually have the assessment, make sure you have done a subject data access request and make sure all of your information that they have is relevant, is up to date, and represents your current situation, your current life, your current health situation, and your current adversity of your disability. And again, if you don't know how to do any of that, drop it in the comments. We do go into it inside my membership, like I said, but if you have some comments about it or some questions about it, maybe I can cover it here on YouTube. The only thing is it gets very, very intricate and very detailed, and sometimes it's quite difficult to please everyone on YouTube because everyone's going, why are you doing a video about this, man? I wanted one about that. I'm just trying to help everybody out. But just let me know in the comments, guys. And as always, have a great week, and I will see you very shortly.